Hello everyone and welcome to Mr. and Mrs. Social Studies. We are in the middle of our back to school countdown and I wanted to tell you about one of my favorite things I've done in my classroom, and that is having pen pals. Now, I remember when I first started thinking about the idea of a pen pal, I was kind of nervous because I didn't really know where to start, and it felt kind of scary to try to figure out sign up. Like, I didn't have global connections. How was I going to be able to find students from classes from around the world? I had no idea. Fortunately, there are some really helpful websites to be able to find pen pals. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about why I think you should consider having pen pals for your students this year, and also where you can go to get more information about this and actually set up pen pals. To start off, let's talk about some of the benefits. First of all, we obviously live in a very globalized world. And even though in some ways we have a lot more information now from people around the world and have much more global influence, even if we don't really acknowledge it, still I think it can be tough sometimes to help our students, especially the younger ones, be able to make those connections and make personal connections with others. Having pen pals is an amazing way to do that. Thus far in my 5 pen pal experiences I've set up for my different classes of students, I've made connections and paired them up with pen pals from Spain, Peru, Switzerland, Ireland, Germany. And these experiences were really valuable. A lot of my students gained new ideas and understandings that they didn't really know before. Even simple things that our students take for granted, they were very interested to learn that students in other countries had a very different school day or different sports that were popular, different foods and customs. Even though, yes, you could easily find an article online about these different customs, when they're actually connecting with someone one-on-one, it helps them, I think, absorb it and learn it in a much different way. Throughout the process, it was also interesting to see how these students were so eager to share details about their pen pals with other students, but also with their families. And in some cases, it became more of a family affair, that they were all excited about receiving the latest email from their pen pals and responding to them, talking about things, incorporating pictures from their family, all of that. And it was really exciting to watch and be a part of. From a teacher perspective, it's a really cool chance to better understand different school systems as well and build relationships with the other teachers you're working with. I really enjoyed working with the different teachers, and I feel like I formed a good friendship with these teachers. Another great benefit is that it can be kind of a sneaky way to be able to help them practice their writing abilities. So in general, maybe writing's not their favorite, but suddenly now if they're writing to a pen pal, it becomes much more exciting. It's very magical how that works. And you get to practice a couple different important skills with your students. Obviously, letter writing in a more formal way. Sometimes with the way students communicate these days, it's a more informal setting, like if they're sending text messages to each other or on social media networks. With a pen pal letter, it's a lot more formal, and I really stressed that with my students, and they rose to the challenge. And that's a skill, honestly, that I feel like is not taught as much today or doesn't often find its way in the curriculum. You can also connect what you're doing to your class. So as a social studies teacher and also a Spanish teacher, it was really helpful because not only could we make connections to various historical events that we had learned about with these different countries, but also even in the case of the Spanish students, I was able to connect students with language. They were able to practice their Spanish in a way that mattered more. It wasn't just me in the textbook and doing the activities, but they were communicating. They were applying the language that they were learning. So that was really exciting. Other benefits? A social benefit is that they can actually make friends with these individuals. It doesn't always happen, but I was really surprised and excited to hear how several friendships formed. And some of these older students actually shared with me that they were communicating with their pen pals on a regular basis, even with video chat outside of class, and becoming really close friends. That's only going to further develop their global understandings as they continue to build that relationship. So I think that that is a really beautiful thing and can just contribute to students having an overall positive experience with it. So that's also really exciting. Another great benefit of having pen pals is just as you're learning a lot about this other culture from where your pen pal is from, you're kind of forced to examine more about your own culture. A lot of our students, at least from districts that I've worked in, have not had the chance to travel abroad yet in their lives. And I know from my own experiences, it wasn't until I traveled abroad where I really kind of could see some of the differences that being submerged in US culture I didn't understand before. And so because they're sort of viewing things more from the perspective of their pen pals and trying to communicate with their pen pals about US culture, it's a way for them to view it a little differently and maybe not take certain parts of it for granted as much. And then finally, another best benefit of having a pen pal is that it is a way to combat prejudice and intolerance. Unfortunately, a lot of times in society and in media and other situations, even though there's a lot of globalization that is occurring and more global understandings out there, there's still a lot of hostile attitudes towards different groups of people, people from different countries or regions. And I think that can be really hurtful and harmful for us as a society to think that way, especially thinking about kids being the future. It's really important that our students grow up to be more understanding, open-minded people. Having pen pals from another country can be a way to help break down barriers that might exist. From what I have seen, a lot of students have really focused on their similarities and have been amazed how they've been able to build these connections despite maybe initially not thinking that they would have something in common with these different people. So I think that can be incredibly helpful. It's just really amazing how the more broad our horizons are, the more open-minded we can be, and for our students, maybe that's literally the most important thing for them. So those are my 5 best benefits for having pen pals. Now, if you're convinced this is something that you'd like to do with your class, let me give you a few pointers about where to go for this. So I would recommend using the site ePals, EPALS.com, and you will set up an account on there. Use your school email address for that, assuming that you have one. And from there, you can make connections with other teachers from around the world. If you are someone from the US, there are a lot of US teachers on there. You could even set up pen pals from somewhere else in the US if you're looking for a different kind of pen pal experience, but there's plenty of people from a variety of countries. You can make connections with other teachers, think about more of what you'd like to get out of this pen pal experience, and then from there, you can set up a partnership with another teacher. Now, there's a lot of ways that you can go about setting this up and a lot of different things that you can look for. If you are curious in the experiences that I have done and want to have prompts for what you can do once you have found a class, I have put a guide together that goes into a lot more detail and gives you all of these sample things so you don't have to do much of the work yourself, and that is available on our teacher store. So I'll put the links below if you want to check that out. But overall, I think that, whether you use that or not, getting pen pals for your class can be one of the most memorable things that you'll do with your students and maybe one of the most impactful. So I hope you'll consider it this year. If you enjoy teacher-related videos, we are currently posting videos every day for a countdown to back to school, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow in the next video. Bye, guys.